Hey everyone, welcome back. This is grade 6. We're in unit 7. This is lesson 11. So today's lesson is about comparing percentages because very often we don't just want to know the percentage of one thing. We want to use that information to compare something else. One thing people love to talk about and compare are athletes and how their game is going or what they're doing for their team or what their whole team is doing. So we're going to use some sports today to think about comparing percentages. So, first of all, I looked this up, and if you're interested in any of this information, of course, you can Google it pretty easily. That's what I did too. So, WNBA, their all league free throw percentage is 80.2%. So that means about really close to 80% of the time when someone is sent to the free throw line, they make it. Now, I thought that was interesting. It's actually higher than the men's league, which is interesting. The men's are almost exactly 77. So it's about 3% higher. So that means 3 out of every 100 times that somebody goes up to make a free throw in the women's NBA, they make it more often than the men's. So we have two different players here that we're going to compare. And the thing about it is you might say, okay, well, what are you talking about? So this is the number one all-time lead scorer for the WNBA, and they have 19.6 points per game. Now, hopefully you're not saying, wait a minute, how could you get 0.6 of a point? That has to do with how we calculate the average, the mean. So if you're unsure about that, make sure to check in with your math teacher and ask how they find that answer. But here's the part we're looking at. They have a total scorer in the league of 8,575 points that they've scored in the league. Now, this person is not ranked number 2. I ranked them number 2 because I found that their points per game were almost exactly the same. But take a look at how many points they've scored altogether. It's a lot fewer. They just haven't played as long. So you might say, well, how can we compare this person who, over the course of their career in the league, has scored 8,500 points to this person who, their career in the league, has scored about 5,500 points? That's kind of a big difference. And it comes to how we compare percentages. We can find the percentage for each person for the amount they score, and then we can compare those two percentages to see who has the higher free throw average. Now, the trouble is, I couldn't find the free throw information for these two folks. So if you can, I encourage you to comment that in the comments. So I'm actually just going to make that information up. This information is not. I just grabbed it right off of Google. But I'm going to make the information up on what these two. We'll just say, okay, now we're just talking about two random people. The fact that not everybody's going to have the same opportunities to go to the line. Some people just get fouled more. Some people have a different style of play. Some positions just tend to be sent to the line more often. So we have to be able to say, out of all of their free throws that they had an opportunity to shoot, how many did they make? That's what we want to know. And in order to do that, we're going to find the percentage. So even though their numbers of free throws are different, we can find out how their percentage compares. Okay, so let's take a look and pretend that these are our lady basketball players. Now, we know they had an amazing last 2 seasons. This year, their season got cut short, and that was disappointing for them and a lot of their fans as well. Hopefully, next year, we'll be back to having another great year. I don't know if they could call it a three-peat if we win and then the season is canceled and then we win again. I'm not sure. And I know that at the end of our season, it didn't quite go exactly as the ladies would have wanted either. So I'm not sure how they're going to figure that out. But here are 2 of our lady players. So one is one of those people that's kind of all over and kind of ends up to draw quite a lot of fouls. So over the course of their year, they went to the free throw line 45 times. They made 36 of those shots, 36 out of 45. Now here's someone who didn't get fouled quite as much, but they went to the line 28 times, and out of that they made 21 out of the 28. So we have to figure out if we wanted to compare their free throw percentages, say we had a technical, the other team drew a technical, and our coach had to choose someone to go to the line. They're probably going to choose the person who has the best free throw percentage because we want to have an opportunity for some fairly reliable points. So if we're looking at these two players and we want to say which has the higher free throw percentage, we can't really just say, well, this one got more points, so it must be them. Well, not necessarily, because they had more tries. So we have to find a way to compare the two. And to do that, we're going to find the percent. So 36 out of 45. So how we're going to write this, the purple player, 36 out of 45. And the blue player, 22 out of 28. Well, that's a fairly simple way to find a percentage. But you might need to know, what if I'm going to do that on the calculator? Those numbers are not very convenient. I'm not very great with my 36 and 45s. I'm not real great with my 22 and 28s. So I want to use a calculator. And that's really important that you know how to do that, because your whole life, you're going to run into situations like this where you want to be able to quickly do it on a calculator. So let me grab my phone and let's see how you're going to do that using a calculator. All right, so the super simple way to find the percentage, if you know the number and you know the total, is to just divide. 36 divided by 45. Now, if you're typing it into the computer, you type in 36. Computers don't often have that like line, dot, dot, that divide sign. Instead, they use the slash that's connected to the question mark. So you type in 36, that slash that's connected to the question mark, 45 equals. So my phone, actually, just like probably a lot of your devices, has a dividing sign. So I'm going to type in 36 divided by 45 equals. Now the trouble is, you might say, whoa, okay, but I don't get it. What's the answer? It's showing me 0.8. You're right, it is showing you 0.8. The question is, how do we change that into a percent? Well, remember, percent means out of the 100. The calculator doesn't know that you want a percent. It's just showing you the decimal answer, but you can change it into a percent. 0.8 is 8/10. We don't want tenths when we're talking about percent out of 100. We want hundredths. So 8/10 is equivalent to 80 hundredths. Now we have 80 hundredths. What is 80 hundredths written as a percent? 80 out of 100 is 80%. So this purple person at the line, 80% of the time, they make the basket. That's an amazing free throw percentage. And if you watched our ladies play, you know that that's part of how they win so many games, is they're just amazing at the line. They blow other teams out of the water by every time someone sends them to the line, they make the shot, and that's amazing. So this person is at 80%. Well, let's take a look at this person. 22 and 20 out of 28. How are we going to do it? Same way. We're going to divide. Clear, here we go, clear. 22 divided by 28 equals. Now, sometimes kids will say, oh man, I think I did something wrong. There's no way that could be a percentage. What is that number even? How do you even read that? And the answer is, we don't even care necessarily to read it all. What are we interested in? We're interested in the part that talks about hundredths. So you can see 0.785, and the 5 is the thousandths. So we need to round this number. This huge long number we don't want. We're going to round it. So 785 are the numbers we're interested in. So 78, that's in the hundredths place. That's 78 hundredths. Then the question though is, whoops, there we go. Whoops. All right, hold on. There we go. The 5 is going to round that 8 up. So instead of being 78 hundredths, it's 79 hundredths. So we have 0 and 79 hundredths. We don't want all those extra numbers because we only want to find the percentage as close as we can. So what is 0 and 79 hundredths? 79 out of 100, 79%. So look at these two players. They have vastly different amounts of times they've gone to the line, but their percentage is really, really close. Their coach could easily send either of those players to the line with full confidence that they would probably make the shot. And that would be fantastic. If they wanted to go exactly straight who had bigger, the purple person would be the person chosen. But 79 compared to 80, it's very, very close. So both those young ladies would be really good choices. Did you notice how we found the percentage of both and then we compared the percentage? That's what our lesson today wants us to do. It wants us to find the two different percentages using whatever strategy you want. You could use setting a proportion. You could use just the strategy of dividing. If you know both numbers, you could just divide and then change that into a percentage. There's so many strategies from yesterday and from the previous lessons that we've done. Any of those strategies are good, but you want to make sure that you compare them both, you turn them both into percentages first, and then you compare the percentages. I hope this was helpful. See you next time.